Hey, this is Chris Jericho, and you're listening to Awesome Pod, the only wrestling pod that I listen to.
It's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's Awesome Pod. It's Darcy the Mail Girl, Shorty Taylor, and Brendan Petrizzo. Explain Dynamite and Rampage, we are here.
And Mistress Harley.
All right, welcome to episode number 72.
72.
A little more. We sound effects. Okay.
Brendan, I do those in post.
Welcome to our special edition episode where we are going to be talking about Ironclaw. I am Brendan, and we have here...
I am Mistress Harley. Oh, I would never let anyone introduce me. No. I'm Mistress Harley, world-famous dominatrix, wrestling enthusiast, combat sports lover, and I cannot wait to talk about the Ironclaw.
We have wanted to talk about this for weeks, and we finally have the time to do so.
We had to do a special edition. We just don't have enough time to talk about the matches and the movies and the everything. So, when you saw the Ironclaw, you saw it with a friend?
I saw it with a friend of mine.
And were they familiar with the wrestling story?
No, they were not familiar with it at all. So it was a very good experience for both of us because I didn't look up the story until after because I wanted to kind of go along on the journey and experience everything. Now, I knew that it was going to be a very depressing story from the get-go because you guys told me about it. I have other friends who went and saw it, and they were just like, it is the most depressing movie I have seen this year. So, and of course, my first question was, is it the botched surgery on Zac Efron? Which he did not look bad. He looks good. But, again, these are things that I thought and wanted to know.
I thought that Zac Efron looked like a dried out piece of beef jerky, which is actually pretty incredible. Trying to get that wrestler body is hard. You gotta bulk, you gotta cut, you gotta they have diets, they have all kinds of drugs that I don't know. But I didn't know he could look like that.
I didn't either, but he did, and he did a very good job, doing that.
How distracted were you?
Honestly, not very distracted. For him, I was like, whatever. The one character, though, that I was like, was the mom. Every time she'd I would raise an eyebrow. No, not hot mom. I would raise an eyebrow. I'd be like, girl, what's going on? What choices in life you're making? By the time son number 3 died, I was like,
And, so there was actually one son that died that was not in the movie. They left out one dead kid because they were like, not only do we not have enough time to tell all the dead kid's story, but maybe too depressing, maybe too much, the extra dead kid. But it was the son that died before, an older son. I don't know. It was so heartstringy and saccharine, but the wrestling was actually kind of good. I was like, oh, look at these men dance.
It was, you could tell it was a movie.
It was definitely a movie.
You could tell it was a movie. Also, I love that, MJF is, he's starting from the bottom. We love a good background actor. I did see him for the 3 seconds, literally 3 seconds he was on screen. So shout out to background.
MJF!
But, the matches were fun. For a movie it was shot well. It was pretty good.
And there were a lot of wrestler cameos in that movie, more than MJF. But I recognized a bunch of people. Now that I saw the movie when it came out, I cannot remember who they are because I smoke hella weed. But if you watch the movie, you, gentle listener, make a list. Tweet it at us at Awesome Pod. But it was really nice to see guys like MJF and other people kind of we're here. We're part of the Geist. Because once you're in a movie, you're part of the Geist. Everyone knows I was famously in the Deep Space Nine documentary, What We Left Behind. Because in addition to being a wrestling nerd, I'm a Star Trek fan. So once I was in that Star Trek movie, everyone was like calling me like, Mistress Harley, are you in a Star Trek movie? And I was like, absolutely, I fucking was. And so I hope that goes the same for MJF, goes the same for the other wrestlers that we saw. But the story, okay, did you watch Heels on Stars?
I have not seen Heels on Stars.
Okay, well, Heels on Stars is very good, and it is also loosely based on the same story, the same family as the Ironclaw movie. So I recommend it, but it is also a bit depressing.
It's based off the same story, so in that one they actually have 10 kids that die.
I mean, some people say they're cursed, the curse of the Von Erichs, right? And, okay, here's another thing they didn't bring up in the movie. Von Erich, the wrestling name. Who was the first wrestler in the family? Dad? Grandpa? Grandpa's gimmick was that he was a Nazi. And that's why they never bring up the beginning of the story. By the time we see Zac Efron, it's already a big wrestling family, but Grandpa was the guy that would come out. And I'm not criticizing this. This was in a time where who was the bad guy? Fucking Nazi. Bad guys were the Nazis in every movie, from Indiana Jones to wrestling. Like, it wasn't that long ago that wrestling also had, shady characters, heels. But then the problem with presenting shady characters is someone is cheering for them. So you can't have a guy walk out in a Nazi uniform who's supposed to get his ass kicked and then have half the crowd go like, fuck yeah! Like, nope, they stopped doing it. But I thought it was interesting that they left that little bit out the movie.
Yeah, I could see them in the development meeting being like, so how are we going to address the start? And I can literally see the studio being like, you're not.
Skip it. Just skip it.
They can look it up. They can
Yeah, Google it. And, it really was a different time. It was a different time when the epitome of evil was a Nazi. And so, it wasn't as contentious as it was today, which is weird to say. So, that said, what was your favorite performance? Do you think it was Zac Efron? Was it some of the kids who were trying to behave normally while, like, these grown-ass men acted like crazy people?
I liked the kid. I forgot his name. He's the one who had the brain damage. I thought he did a very good job. And I also thought the actor who played the brother who was training for the Olympics did phenomenal. And that was also very interesting to watch, especially, the kid who got the brain damage. I'm blanking on his name. But watching
we'll call him Brain Damage Kid. Yeah, okay.
So, watching him, I mean, like, watching that struggle of, like, he was the artsy one. He wanted to do music, and all of a sudden it's like, nope, he is sucked into wrestling, and watching the struggle and watching him try and impress his family, and it just not hitting, and then all of a sudden,
I mean, wrestling with an amputated leg, and that's real. He really wrestled with an amputated leg. He kept the boot on, and no one knew, at least not the fans. People backstage probably knew. And I know amputees, and to me, that's wild. Like, the amputees I know have to be really careful with their injury site. They have to, like, soak it in salt water, and they have to, like, just be so careful. The prosthetic can cause its own damage because it, moves on there. And so I'm thinking about a guy doing something that's really hard for a totally able-bodied person. You are completely able-bodied. Now jump off the third rope and do a moonsault. And so someone doing that with an amputation is really incredible to think about. And I wish almost that they had highlighted that more when he was alive and wrestling, because we live in such an ableist society, and to show someone who has lost a limb or has a disability still being a top guy, still being as good as the other guys, that's incredible.
And it is fascinating. I do wonder, like, if this movie will inspire, you know, people who are amputees to, like, try out wrestling. I mean, like, I'm curious, though, because, like, that was a different time. So it's, like, safety and all that. Like, how would that work? And
there have actually been a lot of one-legged wrestlers. Like, a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'm just imagining, I'm like, okay, how would they do it where it's like, you know, let's say they're wrestling someone with, like, you know, one arm or one leg, and the other person just, like, pops it off and starts beating the other. But, like, that's all I can think of.
This actually happened in the WWE. Rowdy Piper pulled off Zach Gowen's prosthetic leg and just looked at it. For those of you listening, I did a pop-up video style insert on YouTube.
But is it allowed? Like, is that something you can do? I mean, like, I guess, or like the other person rips it off and then whacks it.
I mean, wrestling is not safe. These men are flipping and bleeding and spitting and sweating. And, you know, never forget, a lot of professional wrestlers were also in the Olympics. So, like, Mark Henry, who currently works behind the scenes at AEW, he was an Olympian. You suck, Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was an Olympian, a gold medal winning Olympian. And of course, how do I remember his name? You suck.
I love that journey.
No, but he's also beloved. That's one of the things about wrestling crowds. Like, when crowds are yelling, you suck, sometimes it means I love you.
Just in a different language. It's in fan language.
It's a code switch. Wrestling is a code switch. Okay, I really freaked out someone at WrestleMania because I was going up to my private box and I was in the elevator, and the man operating the elevator, it's like old-timey, but it's for security. He was like, I don't think Roman's going to win the belt, blah, 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 blah. And I, in the spirit of wrestling, I turned to him in character of wrestling. I said, why do you hate cancer patients? And his face went, what the fuck what happened to me? What is this woman on about? And I was like, no, this is the spirit of wrestling. Like, when I was in college, I worked at the Renaissance Fair, and I was the bitch that would be like,
My lord, what might this strange contraption be that dost resemble such a large clock but miniaturized on thou wrist?
Like, I was that bitch. And so when I'm watching wrestling, I'm the other bitch.
I love that. You get into the character. And now, speaking of getting into characters, how did you like Zac Efron's transformation and his acting with this role? Like, did you think he did a good job with it, or do you think it was...
I'm going to say I think he did a better job than he has in previous films of convincing me that he experiences real human feelings.
I can get behind that.
A lot of wrestlers can't do that, so, you know.
It's hard. I mean, like, to be fair, I do love The Rock, though.
Oh my God. Did you just bring up The Rock?
Because I remembered him vaguely on the WWE games.
Yeah, back in the day.
Actor. Like, that is, like, for me, The Rock has always been an actor. So I've recently started kind of, like, looking at some TikToks of him wrestling, just, like, here and there, because I'm, like, kind of curious.
Oh my God, I have to show you some old Rock promos. Did you know that the highest rated episode of SmackDown was just The Rock playing the acoustic guitar? He didn't even wrestle. It's when people started to really notice that he was a fucking superstar. And I watched wrestling in the 90s a little bit, but it got too kind of misogynistic and I stopped watching. And then I watched the Mummy franchise, as we all did, and The Rock was the Scorpion King, and it was over. It was over.
It was not. And do you remember the bad CGI?
Which one?
As when he was a Scorpion King.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes.
That was...
I mean, there's so much bad CGI. But recently... The Rock has come back to WWE a little bit, and it seemed like he was going to challenge Roman Reigns, and he was like, I don't know, if The Rock goes to the IHOP, where does The Rock sit? Does The Rock sit at the bar? Does he sit at a table? Where does he sit at the table? He was asking us an ontological mysterium. And the answer to the ontological mystery was The Rock sits on the board of directors! Like, The Rock. I will always love The Rock. Call me The Rock.
He is great. Like, he's great. And, you know, I mean, circling it back, Zac Efron was fine. I do think for him, this is kind of a movie that was supposed to kind of push him back into the, you know, like, the limelight. And I do think it's good. I'm sure it'll be nominated for something. I don't think it'll win. If it did win, it would be for, like, best sound design.
I wouldn't call this one Oscar bait. Like, this one wasn't Oscar bait.
Golden Globes.
Very best. Yeah.
You know, but it was a fascinating story. And I mean, it was very well shot. And overall, the acting was pretty good. The dad's was a little rickety at times. I was like, all right, you're being a little too, you gotta tone it down. Just we're not a cartoon yet, but we're walking in that direction. Like, I can see.
Okay, but real movie production talk. Were there times where you were like, they didn't need a crane for this shot?
See, that's hard. Like, some shots I was like, you don't need it. However, if you have the money to do it and it looks cool and it enhances the production value, do it. So it's like, usually with that, I was like, okay, for the wrestling stuff, I was like, okay, this is pretty, you know, this is pretty well shot. This is pretty well done. Technically, I don't remember having any, like, technical errors with the movie.
Not that I noticed.
But, I thought there was a button there. All right.
Oh, no, there were not any technical errors that I noticed. If I was going to add a but, I would add this big-ass but. Yeah, I resent films that I can tell are purposely trying to pull my heartstrings. I feel like if I want to feel a feeling, I'll feel the fucking feeling. Like, it's when they play up and like, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, skip ahead 5 seconds. But like the end where they're all going toward the pier and all the dead kids are there. And it's like, that didn't actually happen that we know of. And so, like, bullshit. I call bullshit sentimentality fucking nonsense. Like, the wrestling crowd, we are about baby on a pole match. We are about, like, barbed wire and sheets of glass and long tubes of lights. Like everyone's dead and they're at the same pier. Like, fuck that shit. That's the part that felt like it was for, I'm going to say, normies. And by normies, I mean people who don't watch wrestling.
So I agree 100%. There were parts like that made me wonder if this movie was Oscar bait. I don't know if it will get that. There are some movies that get made every year, and you know the ones I'm talking about. That, like,
we know the ones.
And you watch you can tell by the trailer, you're like, this is Oscar bait. Yeah. And then, you know, everyone goes to watch the movie, and it's fine.
Yeah, it's always some famous person wearing a prosthetic to pretend to be a different ethnicity.
And then, you know, and then you're like, oh, okay, it's a drama. Yep. Okay.
All right. Yeah, is it about an old dude?
An old dude. Or, you know, I do have to say, though, the one Oscar bait movie I fucking loved was Tar. But that's... Did you ever watch that?
No, I didn't watch that one. I think I missed it.
It was good. But it's one of those movies where you have to watch it and you have to be in the mood to, like, for a 2.5 hour just slow progression or decline of this woman's career. It's fascinating. But
you know, I had a 15-year streak of having never watched Avatar, and one of my friends was like, you really should watch it, and I watched it, and I was like, no, I should have never watched Avatar. So, gentle listeners, if you have not watched Avatar, save 3 hours of your life and watch some wrestling.
or watch Aliens, because it's essentially the same thing.
Oh, Aliens is a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Watch a good movie. Watch Aliens. It's basically the same thing.
Did you ever read that interview with Ridley Scott where he talked about the first Alien movie and having to Photoshop every pubic hair off of Sigourney Weaver's minge because she wouldn't shave for that? Okay, so you know that last scene in Alien where she's in the pod and the alien's there and she's in the little teeny tiny underwears, and so Ridley Scott said that she wouldn't shave and she wouldn't even pull up the underwear. And so the most expensive special effect in Alien was having someone airbrush out every pubic hair off of her minge.
So I guess that means we have to get the airbrush artist on the AEW pod.
Oh, shit. No, wrestling don't care about pubic hair. Wrestling don't care about buttholes. Wrestling do not care. I have seen like superstars wearing pants that were just too tight, my girl, too tight. And you see everything. And I always feel bad because I know they don't want that. They did not get dressed thinking, yeah, I'm going to flash fucking everybody today. But, you know, it happens. It's wrestling. It's dirty. That's the point.
I haven't noticed it recently, but there hasn't been like a crazy wardrobe malfunction.
No, there was though. When we were at the live show for Full Gear, didn't Toni Storm lose a butt pad in her stockings that like went down into her stockings?
Well, now the question is it could have been a butt pad, but with the BBL, sometimes it migrates. So maybe
no, it was like a metal plate. It was like a trash can lid.
I remember that.
Oh my god, the migrating trash can lid BBL. That's a horror movie.
Honestly, it is.
Killer BBL from Asylum this summer, just when you thought butts couldn't get any bigger. Just when you thought it was safe to ass.
I'm done. Keep coming.
And no one knows how funny I am because most of the men that interact with me are not getting a fun version.
We got the fun one here only on the Awesome
That's
Pod.
right. Content on the Awesome Pod. We start talking about alien movies and shit. We forget about wrestling and then we circle back.
Okay, so let's jump in and talk about maybe like other films you've seen with wrestlers in it. So,
Hell Comes to Frogtown.
I'm sorry, what?
Hell Comes to Frogtown with Roddy Piper.
I'm looking that up right now.
Joe Bob has shown it, I think, but it is a classic with a wrestler. Hell Comes to Frogtown, Roddy Piper. So good.
Oh, I've seen this poster. This looks great. Oh, it's on Tubi? Oh, this is going to be... Oh, yeah.
See, there are a lot of good movies on Tubi, yo.
Frogtown 2.
Hey, we have to skip movies with The Rock because he's too big of a star.
Chris Jericho was in Sharknado 3.
That's right!
Bruce the ride attendant who gets eaten by a shark, and that was back when he had short hair.
The Lionheart with short hair. Hard to recognize.
The Lionheart with short hair, yeah. And then he was in Terrifier 2. Now, you've seen Terrifier 2,
yeah.
right?
I saw that end scene. I was like, oh shit, it's Chris Jericho! Because I didn't know.
And you heard about the original end scene, right? Where it was supposed to be like kind of something out of Malignant, where like the art pops out, yep. And then he's also going to be in Terrifier 3.
Woo!
So I feel like there was another film. I'm going to have to do some digging on this. So we're going to do some live digging.
Live Googling on the AEW-some Pod, you guys. Oh, Wrestle Massacre. Yes. I was going to say we also have to skip all the WWE studio production movies, you know, like military, the militant, the fucking... they've all, like, all the Miz movies.
Wrestle Massacre, which maybe it didn't have someone from WWE in it, but maybe it did.
The Marine. All of the fucking Marine movies. Those are all platforms for all the WWE wrestlers, so they stick, like, Ronda Rousey in them, and The Miz, and, like, everyone's in those movies.
Tony Atlas was in this.
Oh, Tony Atlas! Yeah, and he was, I don't know, still, he's old, WWE wrestler.
But it was, this one was a little more old school. This one was 2018.
Okay. Yeah. It's hard when the movies aren't about wrestling and you just get a little cameo and you're like, oh shit.
Oh, this one was full on.
Oh yeah.
It's I think it's him. It's about Randy is an awkward groundkeeper who's obsessed with professional wrestling.
Now that we're talking about this, were any professional wrestlers in the, I think, Oscar award-winning movie The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, which was incredible?
Well, let's see. So, looking at the IMDb here. Alrighty. Oh, Judah Freelander was in it. I forgot about that.
The Wrestler was incredible, and also, if our listeners don't know, it was considered a companion piece to The Black Swan. They are companion sister films.
Johnny Valiant was in it, but he played himself.
That counts.
And then Ron Killings was in it. He played himself.
Counts.
Was there a wrestler named Romeo Roselli?
Oh shit! I mean, ring name what? I don't know.
It says now. It might not be a wrestler, but his son or cousin or relative Giovanni Roselli played him. So
we're now full on speculation mode on the Awesome Podcast about old movies.
Now they also Kevin Kelly was in the film as an announcer.
Okay.
So
there were wrestlers in The Wrestler.
Yeah, Daniel Solworld, Brian Heffron, Claudio was in it.
Claudio was in The Wrestler?
Claudio was in The Wrestler.
Okay, look, since Darcy's not here, I'm going to talk about how much I really like Claudio. Because I can never get it out when she's here, but he is incredibly talented and he is strong and he can pick up men twice his size and he don't even break a sweat. And so, like, whether you like his character or not, he's, like, physically gifted. We should clone him and make a Boba Fett army out of Claudios.
Okay. Okay.
My pitch is being considered by Brendan. Asylum Studios might make the Claudio is Clone Army movie. Yeah.
Claudio Clone Army. Okay. I'm picturing maybe we have Claudio. We need to pair him with someone in the low budget world. Let's put him with Eric Roberts.
I was going to say Eric Roberts. I mean,
which apparently is in the Human Centipede, like 3 or something.
Yeah.
I've never seen those movies, but I saw it popped up on TikTok. It was like Eric Roberts was in it. I was like, what's he?
I always forget he's Julia Roberts' brother, and I'm like, oh right, yeah.
His one of his stepdaughters runs this great bakery called Pie Bakery. They make the best cookies. So, and because you're in LA, I highly recommend it. Like,
hey,
baked goods. I will yeah.
I like baked goods.
Highly recommend.
That sounds awesome.
Baked cookies. It's 10 out of 10. Like, it is. The chocolate chip cookies are to die for. Like, the king, they're good.
Okay, away from cookies, back to wrestling.
Yes. Should
we rate the movie in Wrestler Suicides? Is that too dark? Okay, let's rate it in.
Wait. We're gonna do this live. I'm gonna text one of my best friends and say how chaotic.
Fuck it, I'll do it live.
And we're gonna see what they say, and he'll respond in the next 30 seconds.
I literally texted one of my girlfriends the other day. Have you considered getting your dog's teeth whitened? And she just texted back, how high are you? And I said, extremely high.
He has read the message.
Okay. All right. We're getting live updates. This is exciting.
Yeah. And I also put it in the group chat too. Just.
Oh. Well, while we're waiting for people to respond, I want to give a shout out to all of the Raggedy Bitches, including our listeners in Bahrain. I've recently found out we topped the fucking charts in Bahrain. Big fans of Mistress Harley in Bahrain. So, I guess thanks for listening, but also shut up and keep listening. That's, yes.
But keep listening.
Yeah. Have we gotten any responses from the people, your lifelines?
No, actually, it's Seth. who's always on the pod. He's seen it, but he hasn't texted back.
Okay, I already forgot the question because of how much weed I smoke.
Are we rating it in family suicides?
Yes.
I'm gonna go with Seth would say yes.
Okay, well then you know what? We're gonna defer all responsibility for this bad taste decision to Brendan's friend Seth, and we are rating this film in family suicides. And if you're mad about it, tweet at Seth. So I give the film 3 out of 5 family suicides because they left out a family suicide. And also, like, less heartstrings, more badass stories, wrestling, the funny stories. Like, I love Dark Side of the Ring because it's all those guys telling the funniest stories. Like, oh, one time the Iron Sheik did this thing in a bathroom. And it's the funniest shit. And I felt like we didn't get that from the movie. So I liked it, but just not enough. How about you?
I'm going to give it... I want to give it a 2.5. I want to give it a 3. So like,
you cannot do half of a suicide.
Like, not a full. Like, they were kind of paralyzed. But like,
so yeah, 2 and 1 attempted.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that because like, the movie was fine, and I think it. I think Zach did a great job, and I think the cast really they really tried hard, and they did a very good job at taking this big massive story and condensing it.
Tough job.
Yeah, it's a very tough job. That being said, I wish there were better moments. Like they had maybe like 1 or 2 moments with the family where you actually like maybe for a split second we're like, oh, the family's maybe cool, like maybe for like a hot second kind of cool, because it still felt very formulaic.
It was, and they didn't go into any of the fucked up parts of, like, being in this industry as a family. Like, people break their necks. People die in the ring. People are injured for life. My God, just your motherfucking knees. And so, this kind of constantly pushing your kids, it's kind of like a show moms or anybody else that puts their children through, like, super rigorous, intense activities. Like, I'm not saying that the kids experienced was child abuse. I don't have children. I don't know. I don't care. But, like, would I want that done to me as a child? Probably not.
No, it's... Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, this was the most positive episode of the podcast.
We should do... I think we should do more maybe, like, wrestlers doing things outside of wrestling episodes, like special episodes. Like it could be music, because I don't know of any that do music professionally, The Rock excluded.
Of course, Chris Jericho. He's got a gold record. Fozzy is a gold record.
That is true. Why do I always forget about Fozzy? Even though we
right, the Jericho Cruise. Come on, like,
okay, besides Chris, what else? You know what I mean? Like what? Like I'm always curious of like, what else? Like what? Like there has to be more, because Chris is like the top of the top.
That's true.
And now it's like, we can cover that, and Diana's going to come in and she's going to tell us all about the Jericho Cruise. But I'm curious about like what else? Like,
ooh, what else did they do? Yes, we do need to have more special episodes. And spoiler alert for the listeners, we have some guests. We're thinking about it. We're planning it. Everybody's schedule's a clusterfuck. If you're a grown ass person. So we make it work. But we have connections, and we're going to do more special episodes. And also, never to fear, this is a bonus episode because we will also be covering the regular wrestling show tomorrow. So do not fret. We will still talk about Collision, Dynamite, AEW, Daddy Ass, Jericho.
Tomorrow. And that was the Jericho Cruise.
Yeah, the end of that just became word association.
So what do you got to promote, girl? What's coming up? What's happening? What's the team?
Okay. All right. Well, since Darcy's not here, I am going to promote that tomorrow is the Joe Bob Valentine's Day special. And I'm crazy excited about that because I happen to know that, people talk about me. What can I say? And also, you can find me online. I make music. Didn't you know I'm a rapper, an EDM artist, a mixed media artist? I'm all kinds of artists. I am covered under the First Amendment, goddammit. And you can find me at mistressharley.com. What about you, Brendan? Promote some shit.
I love that delivery. Well, alrighty. So, fun thing, and again, if Diana was here, we'd be able to officially announce it. I got pulled into a show.
What show?
A movie.
What movie?
Into a movie called Slasher Size to help produce it. And Diana is actually one of the leads in it. So
fantastic.
Yes. And after we record this, I am literally going to set. So, you know, that is something that'll be fun, and that'll be coming out soon. So, and I think we're going to be doing the festival circuit. That's what the plan was. So it'll be a fun, like, if you like the Jane Fonda workout stuff.
Yes, of course I do. Like, I'm actually wearing an almost Jane Fonda outfit right now. It's like so modern Jane Fonda.
I love it.
Well, we are the Awesome Podcast. And though we did not talk about any recaps this episode, we do always talk about wrestling and AEW twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, sometimes in private. But you can find us on all the places podcasts are. You should subscribe, rate, leave comments. We actually read your fucking comments, you guys, and they're all nice, and we share them with each other, and we giggle like little girls. So just know that you should be giving us positive feedback. Find us on the Instagram, on X, the socials, Awesome Pod, Namaste W.
Namaste W.